For the first time in the Open era, there are no Americans in the top 30. But just as this has happened, this great disaster of men's American tennis, the next hope has arisen, and his name is Sebastian Korda. He won his first title in Parma earlier this year. He was introduced to really the world making round 4 of Roland Garros last year, and now he is through to round 4 at Wimbledon after a win on center court over British number 1 Dan Evans. So I want to take this time to talk about what makes Korda so good. Why are hopes so high for him? How good is he right now? And what does he need to improve to try to become the best American that we've had since Andy Roddick, and hopefully become the first American male to win a slam since Andy Roddick? I want to start with something I talked about in my live chat a couple of days back, which is, in my opinion, the best thing about Sebi Korda is his completeness. Now, if you know anything about how Sebi Korda was raised, his father, Peter Korda, Australian Open champion, former high-level ATP pro, mother, two-time title winner on the WTA tour, both of his sisters, professional golfers. These are people who have a great understanding of how a junior player should be raised to maximize their results, not in the short term, but in the long term. And I think it shows in Sebi Korda's completeness, the fact that all of his technique is textbook. He does not do, there are no areas of his game that you look at and you say, that is underdeveloped. That has a long way to go. That's a hole. That is a weakness. From his volleys to his backhand slice, to having all the serves, flat, slice, and kick, to being able to defend on the forehand and the backhand, to being able to shorten your backswings to make returns, to have kind of equal and equally good technique on both the forehand and the backhand, to have good footwork, to have good shot selection and discipline, and to know where to put the ball. All of these things create this total package and culminate in a player where, if you ask me, what's his weakness? There is no good answer. You could say, well, I think his serves can be bigger. Is that a weakness? Not really. Not really. It could be better, but he still has an above average serve. You could say, well, I think he can move better. Is that a weakness? He moves better than most. He just doesn't move at the elite level because of his 6'5" size. A weakness, quote unquote, that I think can be pretty easily overcome. So that's my number one, is just how complete he is. The lack of weaknesses. But you need the special sauce, don't you? There are some players who don't really have any weaknesses, but can still struggle on the tour once they hit a certain point. Like, they can't break into the top 20 because they have nothing about them that is special, that separates them. Well, Korda, I think, has that in the backhand. And that has been something that in American tennis has been really lacking, even from Andy Roddick, right? Who was probably held back by that side a good amount. But you look at a lot of players in recent years who have just lacked the backhand side. And I think Korda has definitely the best since Marty Fish, but I think a better backhand than Marty Fish, and someone who we might have to go back to Andre Agassi, who is coaching Sebi Korda. We might have to go back to Andre Agassi to find an American two-handed backhand that strong. Blake was good offensively, couldn't defend on it, right? So I don't know. Specifically, here's what I'm looking at with his backhand. A lot of double-handed backhands, because it is the biomechanically weaker shot compared to the forehand, they can only really attack down the line. That is the way that they can attack with their backhand, which is, of course, higher part of the net, shorter distance to the baseline, higher risk shot. But because of that shorter distance and because you're redirecting, that's the shot that they're able to attack with. What I love about Sebi Korda's backhand is it's actually heavy enough and big enough, especially on a fast court, that he can rip it cross court and do damage over the low part of the net, which is awesome for him. it's just really big. A lot of weight on that backhand. The second thing I love about it is it's so compact that it translates really well into the return of serve. Korda's backhand return is fantastic. And most players on tour are very comfortable and very used to serving to the righty backhand, especially on second serves, as a means of getting a reprieve, as a means of avoiding the weapon forehand. But against Korda, there's nowhere to hide. If you have a weak second serve, you can't just kick it meekly to Korda's backhand, or he is going to punish you for it. So the backhand is special. The third thing is just mental calm. And sometimes people read too much into a player's demeanor on the court because what does that matter? That doesn't win you any points. But Sebi Korda shows it between the lines as well during the points. Twice during Dan Evans did he play a terrible service game to be broken. And twice did he break right back in the next game. And any player who's really strong mentally is going to be a master of the rebreak because they're not thinking about the last game. They've put it behind them. They have a short memory. They're on to the next. They have that calm about them. They have that confidence that isn't shaken. And Korda has that. And against Dan Evans, he was way better in the big moments. Mentally. Handled his nerves a lot better. Was nervous in a couple of moments. Serving for the match, he went down love 30. He missed an overhead. No panic. Only calm. Closed out the game. 40-30. Hold serve. This is the kind of stuff. Not only does he look like Bjorn Borg in between the points, where he's poker face, he's the Iceman, but during the points, in the flow of the match, you can tell that he's not really letting momentum get the best of him because he's so calm. The fourth thing I really like, and the last thing that I'll talk about before I get to improvements, is understanding how to apply pressure in a rally with low risk. What's the great combination about Korda is that he has an extremely heavy weight of shot with good depth, good pace, and decent spin. But also an understanding that he can hit with that high weight of shot to large margins. And if he strings enough shots together, that's applying pressure. He does not need to go for broke. He does not need to go for the kill shot unless it is absolutely there in front of him. It is much more important that he's not missing, but he's stringing together quality shots and understanding that if he just keeps applying pressure, the bubble will pop. He will get that short ball easy put away or that approach shot opportunity, or he will get that forced error from an opponent who's just tired of defending. And again, going back to that word, the calm that he shows in the rally, the calm that's reflected in his shot selection, and the confidence that he has in his ability to work the point and not rush anything and trust his weight of shot, trust his big hitting that he brings off of both wings equally, allows him to really be, and Jannik Sinner has the same quality, by the way, to really be a master in patiently applying pressure without missing. And I really love that about him. The comparison is like Tomas Berdych, but he's got better movement than Tomas Berdych. Hopefully, he develops a better serve than Tomas Berdych, which brings me perfectly to the things to improve. The first thing is that he can get that serve bigger. He does not get a lot of free points on it. And it's crucial, by the way, that if he's going to be an elite player, that he's not going to be defending too much because he will not have elite defense with his movement. He might have good defense, but it will not be at the level of Alexander Zverev or Daniil Medvedev or Nadal or Djokovic or Murray or Federer. So he's going to need to serve big in order to make up for that. And he has solid technique, but the question is, does he need to do things with his technique that is going to make him more powerful? Or can he just get bigger and stronger and that'll work itself out for him? Again, a perfect segue into the next thing that I feel he needs to improve. He needs to build up his body to avoid injury. Maybe to become more powerful, to make his serve bigger, yes. He's got kind of skinny legs, but the big concern that I've had is he seems to be breaking down, which is a common thing that you see from younger players, and Korda is 20 years old. But he definitely, that is what is going to hold him back right now. He must build up his body. He must get stronger because he seems to be bowing out of tournaments with nothing left in the tank. Earlier this year, he made the final at Delray Beach. But by the time he was in the final against Hubert Hurkacz, he had a leg injury. He didn't have anything left. Then in Miami, in the quarterfinal against Andrei Rublev, same thing. Injured, hampered, not moving well, not at 100%. And he loses that match to Rublev, although he does finish it. And then in this match, in the fourth set against Evans, I saw him shaking out his legs. I saw his movement declining, getting slower. Starting to labor just a little bit. And to his credit, his returning was so aggressive. His serving was so good, making a high percentage of first serves and hitting his spots, that he never really had to kick his movement into high gear. And he very crucially won the fourth set and didn't need to go the distance. So we never really saw if his body would have lasted if he had to play that fifth set. Credit to him for doing so. But he must get more durable because it's becoming a pattern early in his career that sometimes he will wear down. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Sebastian Korda. I don't love forecasting players' careers, but I will say that I believe his absolute floor is top 15. I think he will most definitely be a top 15 player with the things that he is showing. Not sure what his ceiling is yet. There are things that will need to get better, but this is the brightest prospect we've seen in American tennis in a very, very long time. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.